When we look at majestic old castles, we see masterpieces of architecture, centuries of history, and the romance of bygone eras. Tourists from all over the world are willing to pay huge amounts of money just to walk through their halls, touch the ancient stones, and take beautiful photos for social media. But what if all this monumental beauty is merely an elegant facade behind which something deeply unnatural is hidden? Imagine walls that for centuries absorbed not the greatness of victories or the clinking of wine glasses, but pure, concentrated, never-ending human horror. The castles we are going to talk about today actually existed, and the tragedies that played out within them are recorded in real historical documents. These stone giants literally broke the destinies of their high-ranking masters, deprived them of their reason, subjugated them to their sinister atmosphere of isolation, and in the end ruthlessly devoured them. These are not invented internet creepypastas, this is a true chronicle of madness, cruelty, and paranoia, forever sealed in cold stone. Today we will make a gradual descent into the place where the human psyche suffered a fatal, irreversible breakdown under the pressure of absolute power and fear. Believe me, by the end of this video, your perception of medieval romance will change forever, because the heaviest and most shocking historical nightmare is hidden at the very bottom of our list. Let us start with a place that at first glance looks like an ideal, mesmerizing backdrop for a historical movie. Poenari Castle in England, surrounded by dense forests, seems the height of architectural elegance and seclusion. But the chronicles of this place hold a story of how the fear of the outside world can completely destroy the human mind. From the outside it is an impregnable citadel designed to protect against enemies, but inside it is a mental trap where the owners of the castle found themselves hostages of their own paranoia during a prolonged siege. The brothers from the noble Poenari family, driven to the extreme degree of exhaustion and panic fear of inevitable captivity, made a decision that shocked their contemporaries. Realizing that the walls would no longer protect them, they put on their heavy battle armor, blindfolded their loyal horses, and together with them leapt down from the cliff right from the walls of their own castle. This is an example of an absolute rejection of reality, when the fear of defeat turns out to be stronger than the instinct of self-preservation. The castle, designed to be their main defense, became a trap for them, squeezing the will to fight out of them and leaving them alone with madness. To this day, these semi-ruined walls retain the atmosphere of that fateful day when pride turned into a suicidal nightmare. But while in England the castle became the site of a one-time tragedy, in Scotland, in the very heart of Edinburgh Castle, the walls witnessed a planned and cold-blooded political madness. This castle is located on the top of an extinct volcano and looks incredibly monumental. However, behind this grand facade lies a story that entered the annals under the name of the Black Dinner. Imagine a situation where the young Earl of Douglas and his younger brother are invited to a friendly feast by the young King of Scotland. The atmosphere of celebration and joy instantly vanished when, in the midst of the banquet, servants brought into the hall the head of a black bull, an ancient symbol of imminent and inevitable death. Despite the pleas and tears of the underage king, who did not control his advisors, his young guests were dragged right into the courtyard of the castle and immediately beheaded after a mock trial. This brutal act completely broke the psyche of the surviving child king, who for the rest of his days suffered from bouts of melancholy and paranoia. The castle, where justice was supposed to be served, turned into a slaughterhouse, clearly showing how the lust for power erases any ethical boundaries, turning noble aristocrats into ruthless executioners. Look now at this secluded castle in the forests of Eastern Europe called Loket. It is often called the stone heart of this rugged region. Tourists admire its ancient, harsh Byzantine beauty and massive towers, but few of them know that this place for centuries was used as the most terrible and grim prison where human souls were broken. The contrast between the picturesque view of the winding river and what happened inside these casemates for centuries is simply mind-boggling. The most famous and tragic prisoner of this place was a little boy, the future great Emperor Charles IV. His own mother, gripped by fear for her power and entangled in political intrigue, ordered her 3-year-old son to be locked in the cold, dark cellar of Loket Castle. The boy spent several agonizing months in complete isolation and dampness, without sunlight or maternal warmth. This early childhood experience left a heavy, indelible mark on his entire subsequent life and character. He grew up to be a reclusive, suspicious, and deeply religious man who spent his whole life trying to drown out the echoes of that childhood nightmare in the dark cellars of Loket. This is an example of how cold walls can deform a person's consciousness from childhood, determining the course of the history of an entire empire through his childhood traumas. We descend even deeper into this nightmare, to where real monsters in human form were hidden behind noble royal titles. Cachtice Castle is forever inscribed in world history in bloody letters as the personal abode of Countess Elizabeth Bathory. From the outside, it is a beautiful, prosperous estate, a symbol of immense wealth and influence. But inside its stone perimeter, a real, uninterrupted death factory was deployed. The Countess was maniacally obsessed with the idea of preserving eternal youth, and for the sake of achieving this goal, she and her accomplices for years tortured and murdered young peasant girls and daughters of minor nobles. The most frightening and disturbing part of this whole story is not just the colossal number of her innocent victims, but how long all this remained absolutely unpunished because of her high status. When the terrifying truth finally came to light during an official investigation, the Countess was not executed publicly due to her noble origin. She was sentenced to life imprisonment and bricked up in one of the rooms of her own Cachtice Castle, leaving only a tiny hole for the transfer of meager food. She spent several agonizing years in complete darkness and absolute loneliness, gradually losing her mind and talking to the walls that once belonged entirely to her. The castle eventually became her personal, lifetime hell, slowly and painfully taking her vital forces in revenge for the monstrous evil that she committed in these halls. Try to realize and feel what it is like to be in a building that was originally built with one single purpose, to contain fear. Houska Castle in the Czech Republic represents a unique architectural anomaly. This structure has no defensive value, it completely lacks a strategic location, there are no sources of drinking water nearby, and all its fortifications face not outward, but inward, toward the central courtyard. According to an old legend, this castle was built to close a deep pit in the ground, which locals considered the gates to hell. Regardless of myths, the real history of the castle is filled with a suffocating atmosphere. Its owners over the centuries complained of a constant feeling of suffocation and causeless panic inside these walls. During the Second World War, this grim reputation attracted the attention of the Nazi organization Anomaly, which was engaged in occult research. German officers conducted classified experiments in the castle, trying to use the sinister energy of this place for their own needs. The Nazis hastily left the facility just before the arrival of Soviet troops, leaving behind an atmosphere of complete devastation. This place breaks the will of anyone who tries to stay there for a long time, reminding man that there are territories on our planet where the architecture itself screams of hidden danger. And now we have come to the most important historical exposure, which turns out to be much more terrible than any fiction. When people think of Dracula, they imagine Bran Castle in Romania. Tourists storm this site, buying souvenirs, but the historical truth is that the real prototype of the vampire, Vlad the Impaler, never owned Bran and at best only stayed there a couple of times for the night. The real, authentic citadel of Dracula is Poenari Fortress, located high in the mountains on the edge of a deep abyss. To climb up there, you need to overcome almost 1,500 steep stone steps. It was here, in this isolated eagle's nest, that a real human tragedy played out. Surrounded on all sides by enemies, Vlad the Impaler slowly went mad from paranoia and isolation. His first wife, unable to withstand the psychological pressure and horror of the imminent siege, threw herself from the tower of the fortress straight into the churning river below, which has since been called the Princess's River. Vlad the Impaler himself turned Poenari into a symbol of his absolute, driven to madness cruelty, executing people by the thousands and lining the fortress with impaled bodies. This real citadel of Dracula now lies in ruins, but its atmosphere of utter helplessness and fear still frightens rare researchers much more than the polished and commercial Bran Castle. Real history is always written in blood, not in the ink of novelists. Think about all this the next time you see a beautiful picture of an old European castle in a travel guide. All these ancient structures share one frightening truth. They have always proved to be much stronger, more durable, and more sinister than the mortal humans who naively tried to own and control them. Cold stone, centuries-old concrete, and wrought iron easily outlived great kings, ambitious earls, and ruthless executioners, leaving behind nothing of their lives but frightening, blood-chilling memories and grim chronicles. These walls remember all too well all the evil and madness that was done under their vaults, and perhaps that is why they still evoke in each of us such an inexplicable, deep, primal fear on a subconscious level. Write in the comments which of these real castles seemed the most heavy and shocking to you, and would you personally risk, for the sake of testing your own courage, spending at least one autumn night there in complete isolation and without any light sources.